Hey, I'm Todd Graves with Graves Golf. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm excited because we have over 2,000 people who have subscribed to tonight's program. We're going to talk about Moe's major swing secrets in tonight's show. Welcome to tonight's Plain Talk. I'm going to cover a very, very fun topic for me, which I think is probably the heartbeat of what I do when I coach and teach in the single plane swing of Moe Norman. And we're going to talk about Moe's secrets. Now, as you know, I'm not hugely into secrets, but I think the way I'm going to talk about it tonight and what you're going to see me discuss will show you how it all works together to be one big secret with the single plane swing. Now, before I get started tonight, got a few announcements from Graves Golf. If you're new to our company, we always talk about what's going on with the company a little bit. We talk about the school happenings that are going on. We have schools around the country. We obviously have a lot of single plane golfers that are taking instruction. We have online coaching that's happening all the time. And obviously we have ways of getting you fit for equipment. So let me give you a few announcements that are what's going on. We have our Orlando 5-day school, July 25th through 29th. So this is in Orlando. We have an academy in Orlando that we do lots of schools down there. We have only three spots available for the July 25th through 29th school. That's coming up. So you want to book your travel plans if you're interested in coming to that. That's a 5-day camp. We have the three Oklahoma City schools. We have three dates in Oklahoma City. That's here, August 9th through 11th. The 16th through the 18th, and the 23rd through 25th. So if you want to come to Oklahoma City and see the entire team that's here in Oklahoma City, those through three schools, August 9th through 11th, 16th through 18th, and 23rd through 25th. That gives you a little time to make plans for that. Also, the Phoenix Short Game School on September 12th through 13th. I guess there's some spots available on that. And I also want to make this announcement. Look, tonight we're going to have some giveaways. We're going to give away a driver, Callaway driver. So I want to thank Callaway for sponsoring this tonight. And we're going to give away a 3-day school. So you may not be lucky enough to win a 3-day school tonight. So that's great. But I also want you to know that if you're interested in upgrading your equipment, something I do every year and something we do with our team every year, and a lot of our single plane members do every year, you can get 150% trade-in value on your equipment. It's only through Graves Golf. Then you can trade in anything, whether you have irons or woods or putters. So it's only through Graves Golf that you actually increase the value of your equipment that you have. So if you have some equipment that you've been using for a couple of years, it has quite a bit of value, but it has even 50% more value through us. If it's worth $500, it's worth $750 to trade in on a new set of clubs. That's only through Graves Golf. So if you want to upgrade your equipment, get single plane fit, contact us and we'll get you the greatest deal we can on your trade-in value for your equipment on brand new Callaway clubs. So that's what I got for tonight. Let's get into this kind of what we're going to talk about. Now, one of the things that when I discuss the golf swing and we talk about the single plane swing, it's one of those things where people are trying to, and the mistake I see people make when they're learning the single plane swing is they're trying to find the one thing, the quick fix, it must be the grip, or it must be the backswing, or widen the stance. And they try to find that one thing that's really they think the swing is all about. The problem with that type of thinking, and when you start discussing Moe's secrets, like what's actually happening, it's really all a secret. In other words, the entire swing is a secret. And here's what I mean by that. When you look at the way Moe figured out his swing, he spent, and I did a lot of research on this, how much time he spent practicing, how many balls he hit throughout his life, the 5 years he said it took him to kind of trap or master his move. If you look at what's happening there, he makes a discovery, right? The discovery being the single plane swing. But what is that discovery? I mean, that's the question you have to ask is what did he actually discover? And it wasn't a secret necessarily. It was the way he positioned the body. Why those positions, those particular positions that he put himself in create efficiency and square club face and ideal movement and power and speed and accuracy. So if you break it down to what the secrets really are, they're a set of fundamentals that he discovered that work together. It's not just one thing. It's the whole thing combined. So if you're looking for instruction and you want some help with your swing, and I answer questions all day long, and so does the team at Graves Golf. We're talking, people are asking questions about the grip, questions about the feet, questions about the backswing, questions about, head movement. We get all types of questions, but the answer really is the model, the entire picture of the model. All the aspects of Moe's address, to the backswing, through impact, through finish, the plane of the swing, the positions of his body, all those things are the answer. Now, I've covered these. I got 4 basic things tonight that I want to introduce to you that basically will identify the 4 things I consider, and I say secrets, the 4 basic principles that Moe discovered that allowed him to do the most important thing in the golf swing, return the club back to impact consistently, squarely, with power, speed, and accuracy. Impact. How did he do that? That's the question you have to ask. It's not look at Moe's swing. It's what did he discover? What movement and positions create his ability to get the club to impact consistently, which is what you want, which is what I want, what everybody wants, to become a great ball striker and a better golfer. So I put a video together. I want to run this video for you and show you. It's about 10 minutes that goes through these 4 basic principles. Before we get started, I'm going to talk about 4 basic principles of Moe's swing that I consider secrets to what he did as far as his ability to be the best ball striker that's ever lived. But before I do this, I want to do something kind of fun here. These videos that you're seeing, the one on the right and the one on the left, they're 10 years apart, almost exactly 10 years apart. And if you look at, I'm going to take him from address to the top of the backswing. And if you look at the position at the top, you can see the one on the right looks a little bit longer. He's a little more flexible. He's a little younger. But you'll notice that even though based from the top, from the backswing to impact all the way through, the timing of the golf swing is exactly the same. So even though the swing may have shortened a little bit because of his aging, the swing is exactly the same timing. So I want to show you that positions matter, and that the timing of the swing, even though if you can't reach as far back sometimes, and those are really similar, they're just, the one on the right's a little further back, but he still had the exact same swing when he was younger and as he was older. It's the same motion, just you lose a little bit of flexibility sometimes as you age, and that's what you're seeing in these videos. But I just wanted to point out that his swing is exactly the same even when he aged. Okay, let's talk about the 4 basic things that what create the most efficient movement of the single plane swing, and what Moe discovered, and not only discovered, but developed as he became the greatest ball striker that's ever lived. The first thing I want you to recognize is the first thing I consider kind of the secret to it all, is that his address position creates a single plane, which I'm going to call it, he's setting his body up in the most efficient way to get to the most important moment, impact. In other words, his address position is the most efficient starting position for getting to the most important moment, if that makes sense. So he's creating the single plane. And let's just go through a few basics here. The alignment of the lead arm with the club, the alignment of the trail arm with the club. This creates the ideal relationship of club to body, which I talk about quite often. The club to body relationship is where this club will reference this ideal movement throughout the swing, but it's what we call a plane, but it also has the most efficient alignment. Like if you look at the swing on the right, you'll see that it's lined up with the arm at address, and it will line up with the arm at impact. You see there, that's just right past impact. It lines up with the arm. So again, he simply lines it up, leverages the club, and then impacts. All right, so there's one way to look at it. The other one down the line, he lines it up, takes the club back, and then returns it again to the impact plane. So you're seeing this address position that creates for the most efficient club to body movement. That's the first thing and so learning the address position and really, really mastering the address is primary to the single plane. The next thing that is part of this equation, the other secret that I believe that Moe worked himself through and as he learned and developed, was that his hand position was a function of this position here. In other words, he didn't grab the club first and then try to figure out how to swing. He established his address position. In other words, what I just showed you, this relationship. He established this relationship and his hands match this. In other words, his lead hand is neutral to the face and his trail hand is in a non-rotational position. It's because of this, really, if you look at it, it's because of the tilt of his body that, looking from both angles, that tilt is allowing him to have this body position, which then allows him to have this relationship. So the grip, the way he holds the club relative to this address position is the second real secret to Moe's single plane swing. Now, with that in mind, the third secret is just what the tilt is doing. So the tilt of the body is allowing for this very important factor, which is the club to be able to go back, get parallel to the plane, which is planing the club, back to the top, then gets on the plane again, returns to the plane again, and then returns to the plane again. So this relationship now is all about planing the club. Now, how did he figure that out? Well, again, it starts with the proper tilted address and the proper positions of the body. Again, positions. Notice where his lead arm is above the trail arm and the legs are in a great position. So, and the tilt of the body, the A-frame of the leg. So the address positions is establishing the tilt of the body so that when he takes the club back, he can leverage it, and he takes it back and he can also plane it. So leverage and plane, which allow what? Him to get back to impact again in the most efficient manner. So again, it's all about how did he establish his efficiency to get to the most important impact. So the third secret I would say is his tilting and the way he planed the club. Now, the fourth thing has to do with movement. So once he's established the perfect body position, the perfect hand position, and the perfect tilt of the body, now we have to look at what is he doing throughout his movement that I would consider a secret, or I don't know if secret's always the greatest word, but what I would call it the most efficient way to move. And so he's creating what I call range of motion limitations. In other words, stability, ways of stabilizing the body that create limitations in movement. Why do you want limitations? Because limitations allow your body to repeat its position over and over and over again, but you're not thinking about it. You're doing it because that's the only way your body can move, because you've limited its ability to move. One of the ways he did that was against the trail leg. You can see the frame up of the trail leg. And if you watch him move into the backswing, he's going to brace himself against that trail leg. And you see he maintains that tilt of the body. So that is a stabilization move where he's rotating against that trail leg, but it's forcing his body to stay in that tilt. It's forcing his body also to only go that far. The tilt and the stability of that leg create that. And it's important to say that he's staying in the forward bend as well. So watch the forward bend. He's staying in the forward bend as well. So those tilts and that rotation allow him to stabilize and maintain that position. Again, position being critical to this. Now, let's look at the downswing, because this is where it gets pretty interesting. As Moe now moves his body in this direction after being braced in the downswing, you can see that he's going to brace again into this lead knee. I talk about this a lot. That's a very important stabilization move. Why? Because it's limiting the amount his pelvis can turn. Why? Because he's keeping the trail foot on the ground. So the limitation of the pelvis into that lead knee with the foot on the ground, watch when he goes through the ball here, create a limiting pelvis rotation. And again, if you look at the tilt of his body, you can see very easily that that tilt is also inhibiting, which I mean, inhibiting is a good thing, the torso's ability to rotate. So you're seeing his positioning creating stability and limitations. So why? Why is this so important? Because it's saying, hey, when I take the club back, I can only go so far. And then as I come down, I can only rotate and bring my hands to this point here.
because of tilts, stability, and limitations. So this is really the secret to movement of a golf swing is how are you positioning the body, feet down, knee flex, tilt of the body to get the arms and hands to the moment of impact. Again, you can see it from the down the line view. And look at the tilt of the body maintained. Look at the foot on the ground. Look at how he's able to plane the club even on the way through. So there you have it. You have the 4 basic secrets to Moe's movement and positions. You got the preset address for the most efficient movement for the club to get to impact. You got the hand position that matches that address position for the least amount of movement, rotation of the hands, neutralizing the face and getting it to square. You have most positions of tilt and stability that allow for the most efficient planing of the golf club. And then you have Moe's ideal range of motion limitations through tilts, knee flex, foot down, and stability that creates the proper movement of the body. Those are the 4 basic secrets to Moe's swing.
So let's discuss this, and I put the club down for just a minute because I want to talk about the importance of a couple of things. One, positions of your body. This is really the heartbeat and the answer to how do I help you get better at getting to impact on a single plane, becoming a better ball striker. This is really going to be what we're working towards as far as anything I teach you and any questions I answer for you, because we're going to take some questions tonight. Anything that I answer is going to be referring to how do I simplify the swing to help you get to impact more efficiently, exactly what Moe was able to do and what he discovered. And so it starts at address. Now, I also want you to know this, and I'm going to give you a little bit of experience that comes from me over the last few years. And I had a lesson with a really high quality player. He's a tour player. I had a lesson with him a couple days ago. And what's interesting is that nobody, not even the highest caliber people I teach, can feel what they're actually doing. In other words, they think they're doing one thing and then they get another. And that's why they hire me to sift through, hire me, and not just me, the coaches here at Graves Golf, to sift through, this is the exact thing that you've got a position you need to be in. You need to go get this position. And that's what I do when I coach, and that's what we do when we coach here. The best way to do that is video. It's the absolute best way, matching the model in video. And the instructors at Graves Golf, we're experts at looking at video and analyzing swing. Why? Because we've done it hundreds of thousands of times. I look at videos consistently every single day. Not only have I studied Moe's swing to an nth degree, but I've looked at, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of golf swings as of all the coaches, and we're able to see things. But what you're going to see when I talk about video coaching is that we're going to change your positions. We're going to put you in new positions, and the positions matter. Like the positions of the golf swing matter because they create the movement and the stuff I'm going to talk about tonight. So the first thing is, the most important thing that you can get right, and this is through video and studying the model and matching the model, is the position of the body at address. And this is the first thing that I consider Moe's secret because it establishes some very important factors. The first thing is this. It establishes some alignments with the club. So it establishes the lead arm club alignment. That lead arm alignment, why is that important? Well, it's important because that alignment is going to be what realigns at impact. So he's creating a position of the arm, establishing its position so he can recreate that alignment at impact. There's a little more to it than that, but that's the first relationship. I call it club to body relationship that he's establishing. It's also putting the arm in a position. We're going to talk about this too. It's putting the arm. You notice the tilt of my body. See, the tilt is primary to the position of this arm. So the tilt of the body and this arm alignment, and then watch what happens now. The club then realigns with the trail arm. So now you have the single plane alignment. But notice that alignment of lead arm and that alignment of trail arm, they are basically related to the tilt of the body. The tilt, the upper body tilt, even the slight pelvis tilt, and the position of the body allows for this alignment. Now, when I hold the club in this alignment like this, you'll notice that it's creating a relationship of the club to my body. Isn't that true that the club will have that same relationship at impact? Notice my trail arm can be bent, my lead arm can be straight, and there's that returning the club to impact. Don't I want to create the easiest way to go from here, leverage the club, and go back to impact? Doesn't it make sense to do that in the most efficient, least amount of movement possible? Well, if I go down the line, you're going to see that from this proper address position, you have this nice spatial relationship between your hands, between the ball and the feet, and this creates the easiest way to get the club returning back to plane. Now, address, right? The address position, the tilt of the body at address. And here's the thing that I want you, if there's one piece of advice I can give you today, and this may help you more than anything, is I want you to stop gripping the club first before you address. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes golfers make, is they put their hands on the club and then they walk into the ball. What I want you to do is I want you to establish body position and arm position first before you put the hands on the club. So basically lead arm and body position first, and then put your trail hand on the club, and then establish your address. To me, that's the order and the sequence you should do it, because body position is primary to grip position, which then is the second thing that I believe was Moe's secret, was how he placed his hands on the club relative to body position. And what you're seeing in this, as I go through this, what you're seeing is that I'm matching up certain things. In the biomechanical world, we call them matchups. We're matching body position with hand position and arm position with backswing position. It's matching things up. In other words, I'm putting my body in positions that are matching. There's a reason for it, and they work together as opposed to working against each other. So now we got to talk about hand position. And notice that when I get in the proper tilt of my body, that it allows my hand to be neutral to the target. We're going to talk a little about range of motion in a minute. And then look what happens to my trail hand. So that's the alignment we were talking about. The back of the hand is to the club face and the target. And now watch this. This hand then comes up to the club. And notice it's in a particular rotation. I mentioned the other day to somebody that it's like there's an arrow pointing out of the back of my hand to my shoe. That's the rotation of the hand. But here's the thing. It's not a hand rotation. It's not a hand rotation. It's a tilt of the body which allows my arm and hand to be rotated. Do you see the extreme and important difference in that? Because I'm not saying the hand's under the club. I'm saying the tilt of my body is bringing the hand under the club. So body position is primary to hand position. It's before it. And this is where I think, look, if you're new to the single plane swing and you're one of the guys out there that's kind of on the fence about, hey, am I trying this swing? It's not about the grip. It's not about the address. It's not about the backswing. It's about all of it. It's about every piece of it working together to maximize the efficiency and the simplicity of the single plane swing. That's why there's gonna be a bunch of questions we ask tonight in tonight's webinar, and you're gonna hear me say it over and over again. Well, I can't see your swing, but let's go through it. I'm gonna start from the beginning and go through address and go through ball position and go through, then hand position. And then, so I'm gonna go through it in a particular order because there's a model here. And I need to make sure that you're matching the model, and that's how it all gets better. It's not just one thing. Why am I topping the golf ball? Okay, let's talk about your address. Let's talk about so it's going to be matching the model constantly, and that's why we're so efficient and so good at what we do at Graves Golf, because we refer to this model, and the closer you get to the model, the better you become. Okay, so let's talk about these things. So the first thing, obviously, is position of the body at address. The second thing is the position of the hands relative to that address position. So those are the two first secrets. Now, let's talk about the ability of Moe, and this is a discovery too, that because of these tilts and positions of his body, he now is able to plane the golf club. Plane the golf club means nothing more than being able to move the golf club in the most efficient way to get the club from address to backswing to impact. One of the best ways that we analyze plane, obviously, is from down the line. And so what we're doing is, and remember, this relates to what we just talked about. When I'm setting up, you see the initial plane of the club. See the plane of the golf club starting out? Well, now I'm going to take it back, and you can see at the top, you see the plane of the golf club again here. It's going to come down, plane again here. It's going to come down, and then it's going to return to the plane at impact. And then on the way through, I'll go this way with you, it's going to plane again. See the shaft plane here? It's going to plane again through there. So you're seeing how, because of Moe's address, because of his positions, and because of the way he's positioned his body, he's now able to move the club in a way that makes the club's path the most efficient path possible to produce speed and get to impact, right? We talked about that. Look, it's really pretty, I mean, to me, as I discuss this, it seems more and more simple. If you just start thinking about it, put the club on the plane and then return it back to its plane, and the body moves as least amount possible and the most efficient possible, and then we can repeat impact more consistently. It's just really that simple. Now, you see those three things now are very related. The swing plane is related to body position. So now let's talk about what I think. And you notice the things that I just discussed. The address in the grip position were basically set at address. I mean, that was the beginning. You haven't even moved yet. Then during the swing, you're moving in a way that efficiently moves the club shaft on plane, which is, by the way, that's the first thing I saw when I saw Moe hit a golf ball for the very first time in person back in 1994. When I saw him hit a golf ball, that's the very first thing I saw was this amazingly simple and efficient plane, because that's what matters in a golf swing is the club moving efficiently into impact. If you're taking a club and you're taking it like this and then dropping it, or you're taking it flat and steepening it, if you're moving the club shaft around, you're asking for variation. You're asking for the recovery of the shaft. It's got to be on the correct plane, and the better you get at the correct plane, the more accurate you get. So what I saw in Moe's swing was an incredibly efficient way, with the least amount of movement, rotation, stress on his body, to keep repeating. It's like a machine. He was just a robot on plane. So he set his body up in the correct positions. So that's what we got to talk about next, is the positions of the body throughout the motion. Moe discovered and created, and by the way, you can do this very easily if you move correctly and stabilize correctly. I'm going to use those terms almost synonymously because they relate so much to each other, because movement and the way you stop movement in the body are related. For example, and I'll give you a really interesting example of this. And this is a non-golf related example. For years, I trained in martial arts, and I was working with a martial arts instructor, and he was showing me a particular kick, and I couldn't do the kick very well. I was very inefficient at trying to, kick this sideways and lift my leg to a certain height, and then kick very quickly, and I was having trouble with it. And I was watching my instructor do it, and he was like Moe. He was super efficient. He was really great at it. So I grabbed my phone. I said, let me record you doing it. And I recorded him doing the kick. And then I went home and I started watching the video. And on the video, he was doing one very important thing that I was not doing. Before he kicked, and by the way, he couldn't really feel what he was doing, but he obviously did it very efficiently. He would rotate his foot at a certain time right before he would lift his leg. So the foot rotation, then the leg lift. When I was just lifting my leg without rotating my foot, and the very moment, like the second that I rotated my foot first, I was able to do the kick. Probably about a 45-degree rotation of the foot allowed me to then rotate higher and kick higher. That's the importance of video for me, being able to nail down what the efficient movements are and just copy those movements. And once I did it, I came back the next day, I'm like, I got it. And he goes, yep, you got it. It saved me so much practice and headache. I could have been there kicking for years and not have seen that one thing that took me next level. And sometimes it's just nailing down those efficient little things in your swing, whether it's the address, your hand position, or whatever. Critical stuff when you're trying to become better. And all of you can do this very easily. You just got to get focused and use some video to get some feedback. Final thing here, which is the motion stuff, which is the entire, if I took all of Moe's, all the things that he did, he put his body in a position through tilts, the stuff I mentioned, his arm position. He created what I call a mistake-proof ability to get to impact. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it this way. If I said to you, I'm going to put you in a position that allows you to make the least amount of mistakes, and you can move as fast as you want, but I have some rules. If you follow the rules, You don't have to think about anything. All you can do is go to these positions. I'm going to mistake-proof the movement. In other words, you can't mess it up, right? What would I do? Well, here's the first thing that Moe did. The first thing he did was, because of tilt, again, tilt is a very important part of this. The tilt of the body isolates particular areas of the body so they can only move so far. And you can experiment with this if you want. You see me do this stuff, but if you're new to the single plane swing, this may be really, really new stuff for you when it comes to golf instruction, because what golf instructors out there are trying to do is they're trying to teach you motion, but they're not trying to teach you what allows and creates the motion. In other words, what creates the motion and what stops the motion, because the body has to have stopping points. So how did Moe do that? Well, the first thing he did was he braced against the trail leg while he was tilted in the backswing. So in other words, you see this angle in his trail leg, and notice the side bend, the tilt. So when he takes the club back, he's still in his side bend, and he's braced against this leg. Notice this foot is down, and it can come up a little bit, but because I'm braced here, it's restricting my movement. I can only go so far, right? As long as I brace on the inside of that leg, I can only go so far, and I'm still tilted. So that not only am I rotating as far as I can go, I'm also braced, stopped. So parts of the body, for me to get maximum efficiency and for me to help you, I've got to stop the part of the body that I need to stop to allow the other part to continue. So watch my upper body now. So you see me at address, bracing against the trail leg. Foot position matters, right? You don't want the foot turned out. You don't want it turned in. You want it in the right spot. So you brace against it, and you can turn the upper body. Look at this. You can turn the upper body, and you brace the lower body. It's called separation. Massively important. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You remember how I talked about lead arm? Let's talk about how we're going to work on the downswing, but here's the thing. And this is the first time, by the way, those of you who are with me tonight, this is the first time you've ever heard me talk about this in this way, is that what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work on the downswing. Remember, the goal of the downswing is what? I've got to get the club to impact. I've got to get the club square at impact. That's the goal, right? With speed, boom, square it up. That means I got to get my body to do this. I've got to go to the top. I've got to stabilize the body. I've got to rotate. I got to get some speed, and I got to bang. I got to get the back of the hand to that target. I got to get that happening. So notice I did that without a club, and the reason I did it without a club because I want you to see something. Let's say there was a wall right here, a wall, and the wall is just past the golf ball because I want my hands to lead, right? And so all I got to do is go back from here, and I got to get the back of the hand to the wall. Back of the hand to the wall. Okay? Look at the position of my body. Now, here's what's happening biomechanically. Again, this is one of Moe's secrets. The position of the tilt of my body, okay, follow me on this because this is where it gets a little bit hairy. Tilt of my body creates a range of motion limitation here. And it happens because my knee stays flexed and my foot stays down, and now I've started the limitation with my legs and my feet. I can't go any further than that because of side bend, foot down, knee flexed. Okay, limitation, number one. So remember, lower body moves first. Now I'm moving into my lower body limitation. Look at the side bend of my body. So now, and you can stand up in a chair if you want to do this. If this is in its position, knee flex, foot down, notice that foot position matters too. And I'm side bent, okay, side bent. I'm gonna keep my knee, don't move the knee, and rotate until the torso, which is this part of your body, your thoracic part, can't go very far. That's as far as it can go. Watch this. So range of motion max here, right? Tilt, range of motion max here, right? Watch this. There's impact. Now, how did that happen? Because I rotated as much as I could. However, because I'm tilted and because I've maxed this out, I can only go one place, right there, to the wall, right? Do you see how I did that? How did I do that? Positions. I did it with foot position, lower body, range of motion, foot down, knee flexed, upper body position, back of the hand. And here's what's crazy about the lead shoulder. You know how I got to get this square? How did that happen? Well, if you go like this, when you come down like this, it isolates the shoulder because of side bend. And look, That's the full range I have. The full range of my arm only goes to here because my shoulder has been isolated. So now you're seeing this isolation, this isolation, this isolation creates a perfect impact position. Do you see how that happened? Lower body range of motion is contained. Upper body tilt range of motion is contained. Lead shoulder is contained. Bang, square club face. So now let's go through that. This is massive for you. But here's the point I want to make. And we as coaches at Graves Golf, this is the stuff we do with all of you who want our coaching. We are basically putting you in, creating these positions for you. I could never figure it out myself. I had to have Moe's help. I used videos to do it. Because I couldn't feel what I was doing either. Now, if I'm having a problem, I go grab my brother, I grab one of the coaches at Graves Golf, and I say, hey, watch me hit a couple golf balls, and we can, oh, you're not tilted enough, or you're tilted too much, or whatever it is. I have to have eyeballs and cameras on me too, because again, you can't feel what you do. And here's the other thing that you might run into, is if you don't practice for a couple weeks, this happens to me, I'll go out there and my swing feels not very good, like something's off. And I don't want to sit there and hack golf balls and worry about it. I want to fix it and go and start doing the right thing. So if you can stay on track to always practicing this stuff correctly, you will get it really, really good. You start making great golf swings, and you'll be able to fix it instantaneously with just a little help. But you got to build it first. You got to get this right first. So let's go through it with a golf club now. And this is how it's all working in the swing. Okay, we talked about the very first fundamental secret was just creating the tilt of the body, the alignment of the arm with the club, and the trail arm alignment into the single plane. This creates a nice spatial relationship, which helps me get to impact, not only from the tilt of my body, but from the arm position that I have, right? Now, the second thing is my grip position is relative to this. The back of the hand is to the target. The trail hand is in we call it non-rotational position, but that's the function of the tilt of my body, so that address position. So the grip is the second secret. The third secret is basically being able to move the club on plane. So in other words, being able to take the club from its impact plane, have it plane in the backswing, plane in the downswing, and impact on plane. So how am I doing that? That's through the proper movement of the body and staying in my tilt that allows me to stay on plane so I can return it to impact. So the body position during that movement allowing me to plane the club. And the final big secret, and by the way, the final one that I'm talking about is all about power. Because now I'm going to take these positions, sequence the golf club, and add speed. Because what I didn't mention to you was I can move as hard and as fast as I want. People ask me all the time, what about tempo? What about timing? Swing hard, swing fast, swing as hard as you want, but you have rules. And the rules being, the limitation rules are, I want to make sure I'm braced against that trail leg and I'm in my tilt. I want to make sure that I'm stable against this knee and don't move it on the downswing. I want to make sure that I can rotate, but I'm still side bent coming down, impact against that trail knee with that foot down and staying there on the way through, in my bends to replane the club on the way through. Notice the leg is still stable. So those positions are, I'm going to use the word forcing. They're forcing my body into positions that only can return the club to impact. I love that idea. And I love that's what Moe figured out, because it's not trying to find some intricate secret in the swing. It's simply positioning your body a particular way and then following those rules to get the club to impact. Which, by the way, those things are the secret, the package of Moe's swing. There's no one secret. It's not a palm grip. It's not a 10 finger. None of those secrets occur. It's a biomechanical model, and each element of it relates to the next. The address relates to the grip relates to the backswing, the tilt of the body relates to the downswing. All these things match up. They match up, they fit together like a puzzle. And when you start putting the puzzle pieces together in the correct order, you get the same results as the model. And that's what this whole thing is really all about. Now, let me just talk about this for just a minute. I want to take some questions as well. One of the things that we do at Graves Golf, you may or may not know this, is we have coaches right now on standby. They literally can coach you anytime, anywhere. We have coaches available. These guys are 24/7 reviewing swings, getting video, but you've got to be able to send a video. You got to be willing to send a video to us. But I got a special deal tonight that I've never offered any other deal. And by the way, this package deal includes some very important things, and we got to talk about our training aids in just a minute. But it's for $495 per year. You can send in as many videos. This is you taking a video of your swing and sending it to the coaches. Send the video to the coaches anytime you want, and they're going to help you match the model and do the things that you can't figure out yourself, because I can't figure it out. That's why I teach high-level players, because you can't feel what you do. We're here for you to solve that problem with our coaching program. It's $495 per year. By the way, we usually charge over $1,000 a year for this. It's $495, but here's what I'm going to do for you. The first 50 people, because we had almost 2,000 people register for tonight's event, 2,000 people. So what I'm going to offer the first 50 people is the 3 most important training aids that we practice with. Another way we get feedback. The first one is the alignment ball position trainer. This one teaches you alignment, ball position, foot position, and this is something I practice with every single time. So the alignment ball position trainer, that's a must every time you practice. So we're going to give that away with that coaching package. We have the Feeling Fitness Training Club, which teaches the address, teaches the grip, the address position. It's a hittable training club. That's something I practice with every single time. And our single plane trainer, which is our position trainer, which teaches you the tilt and how to get back to this impact position. This is our single plane trainer. The training aids themselves are almost $280 retail just by themselves. And then what we're also going to do is give you $240 in credit towards a golf school in the future. Basically, this is a free coaching program. You're going to get the training aids, you're going to get the $250 credit, and we're also going to give you access to Graves Golf On Demand, which has all of our instructional information that teaches you how to use everything and has all of our training courses on there. It's over $2,000 in value for $495, but it's only for the first 50. We have limited inventory of the training aids. So for the first 50, if you're willing to do it tonight for $495, get those training aids, get in the coaching program, and let's get you doing exactly what I did tonight, learning all those things that Moe Norman did, and let us help you do something that I've never seen anybody do it on their own without some coaching and people doing video and doing it themselves. All right, I also want to do some giveaways before we answer the questions. We want to do a giveaway before we answer the first question? Now, so we're going to give away a school, 3-day school, and we're going to give away a driver. Oh, check this out. So the first giveaway is a Callaway Rogue ST driver, the new Callaway driver, to Joe Strateski. Yeah, sounds right. It's Joe, S-T-R-E-T-E-S-K-Y, Joe Strateski from Los Angeles, California. Joe, you just won a Callaway Rogue driver. We'll make sure you get a hold of us, and we'll get you custom fit, single plane fit for that driver. That's great. Okay, let's take a few questions. When I address the ball with a single plane trainer at 26 inches, okay, I feel like I am crowding the ball. Do I have to stand 26 inches in order to hit the correct positions? Oh, I know what you're doing. So look, this is the length. It's actually shorter, a little shorter than a 6-iron. So you don't want to be, I think you're probably standing like this. Just point it. You don't want to get too close or point it down to the ground. Just point it towards the direction of the ball like this when you're using a single plane trainer. So matter of fact, when I train with this thing, I do it sometimes with a 6-iron, but I most move away just a little bit. So just move away from it just a little bit. Don't worry about that distance as much, because you can literally use a single plane trainer like you're hitting a driver or a wedge. It's really not going to matter. So just make sure that you don't have it against the floor or you're too close to the ball. That's probably why you're feeling jammed up. Just make sure that you're getting the relationship with it and use it. And I actually would scoot away just a little bit with that trainer. So just don't get too close to the ball with it. When in the starting position, why is the club head 6 to 12 inch behind the ball? From Rick. Okay, one of the answers I want to give to this question is, why is the club 12 inch behind the ball? It's like, why not? I mean, what you're asking is, well, everybody else puts it next to the ball. Why did Moe put it back here? And if you ask Moe that question, and of course we all ask Moe that question, and there's two answers. There's the duh answer, like no kidding, and then there's a biomechanical answer. I want to give you both those answers. The first one is that because of the side bend, so when I'm side bent, remember how much we talked about that tonight? When I'm side bent, it allows that arm to line up. But if I put the club next to the ball, notice how it's not letting the club line up with the arm. So it's allowing for a better alignment of the club in the arm. And by the way, let's get clear on one thing. Address, the position of the body at address is not the same rotational position as impact. I'll give you the data on it, and this is the biomechanical side of this. At address, I have 15 degrees of torso rotation. At impact, I have close to 30. So at address, I'm less open. Impact, I'm more open. So think about that. The club would move forward if you're more open, right? So there's that side of it too, that position. It's the most efficient position to start, so the body doesn't have to rotate more into the backswing. That's number one. Now, if you ask Moe this question, he gave you a pretty simple answer. He said, look, it eliminates part of the backswing. It puts him in the position, so now the club can go straight back, as opposed to having to turn the club back or take it outside. The club would easily go back. So it's an efficiency thing. It gets the hands leading. See how the hands are in front of the club head? You don't ever want the hands behind the club head. The hands are in front. It's the most efficient way to put the club, to start the relationship of club to body and get it to impact. It's the most efficient place to place it. And I know that some of you who are new to this think, wow, that's weird. Do it a few times, get it right, build this relationship, and you won't even notice the club there because you're looking at the ball anyway. It doesn't matter where you start the club eventually. Start it in the correct position, create the proper relationship, and the club swings through impact. You're not hitting at impact anyway, you're swinging through it. It's the most efficient way to do that. That's why you see the club there. From Alan, how do I limit the chicken wing position in the follow-through, get extension? Good, that's a good question, and here's the thing about that. So what Alan is saying, here's the chicken wing, right? Now, or actually probably look more like, I'm not sure, yeah, like that. So in other words, he's not getting extension. Now, this is why these questions, I mean, this is a good question. You're seeing your chicken wing in the follow-through, and you're wondering why. And I'm going to back this up a minute. I want to see your swing on video because, number one, I don't want to guess at the cause because I'll tell you what it could be. I'll give you the three off the top of my head things the chicken wing could be. Could be an improper grip. You could have a strong grip and you're not letting your hand rotate. Could be the grip, okay? That's a possibility. It could be that your body is losing its tilt, and you're pulling the club out of the ground not to hit the ground. That could be it, right? That's the second thing it could be. The third thing it could be is straightening the lead leg. So you could be straightening the lead leg, and when you straighten the lead leg, the body can't get open enough, so then your arms pass your body and you do this because the body doesn't have enough rotation. Those are just three things off the top of my head that it could be, right? I have no idea which one of those things it is. I would start in order. This is the way I deduce all problems with any golf swing is like, okay, let's make sure the grip is good. If the grip is good, we can eliminate that variable. Okay, let's talk about on the way through, how's the tilt? If the tilt's good. So I would go in order like I always do and deduce the problem. But Alan, the absolute best thing you can do is get with our coach and let him tell you exactly what it is in literally a few minutes, tell you exactly what it is and coach you through it so you're out there doing it correctly right away. Stop wasting time. So again, send a video to the academy and we'll check that out. Next question, what is the first movement from the leverage position with your downswing from Wilbur? So, all right, here's what you have to understand about sequence. Is everybody wants to think, well, you're in the leverage position at the top and the first movement's the leg down. Actually, that's not true. The first movement is when I'm about here, I'm not even at my leverage position and the lower body is starting. So I'm not even, when I get leverage, I'm already in motion. So that's the sequence of events. It's not a backswing, downswing event. It's a backswing and the downswing starts as you're going back. It's the sequence of events. It's just like if you were going to skip a rock, see how my arm is going back and my lower body is going forward, but I don't take the rock back and then go. I'm taking the rock back and my arm is still going back as I'm going forward. That's the sequence of events for timing and speed and consistency to get the most out of my body's stability and speed production. Same thing's happening with the golf swing. As I'm going back, the lower body stabilizes, I'm coming down. So what you got to feel again is as you're going back about right here, you got to be pushing from inside this leg, which is why you got to brace against that leg, into that lead knee, stabilize here, and then swing through. Notice how I'm working in that range of motion stability stuff I talked about as I'm going back to coming down. We call it the transition. Easily show you how to train that. Send us a video, we'll easily show you how to do that. Next question from G. At address, and through the whole swing sequence is the lead wrist at a full adduction. A lot of people are talking about this question in golf instruction now about the lead wrist. Here's what's happening. Let's just go through what's happening in lead wrist. This is ulnar deviation, right? So this is ulnar deviation. This is just basically getting the hand in a fully extended, this is radial deviation, this is ulnar deviation. So in this position, so when I take the club back and I rotate to here, this is just an extension of the arm. And then what's going to happen here is the hand will go into a radial deviated position going to the top. And let's not be conscious about this. The reason that's happening is because the trail arm is folding like this. And that brings the wrist up. And so now when you look at that position, you see the wrist has gone from ulnar deviation to radial deviation. And then when I stabilize and start turning down, I'm pulling the arm for a period of time, not the whole time. And then when I start extending this goes back into ulnar deviation again as my body's rotated. So it'll look different here than here because my body has more rotation, but it's still ulnar deviation, which is a beautiful thing about Moe's swing. We talked about the grip, is that it just goes back to ulnar deviation and returns the club back to the plane. So the wrist is working like this: ulnar deviation, radial deviation, turn, ulnar deviation again. That's all you really have to do with the wrist. You want to stay away from this, any of this. Can you talk some about how best to use the mirror and relative merits of mirror and video? The mirror is great, obviously, to check your address position. I mean, that's really any reflective surface that you can look for your address. I use video for all that because I like to have a comparison to the model. That's one thing that I like to do in all of our coaching is have you next to the model so you can, sometimes you don't see everything. So, I mean, if you're looking in a mirror, sometimes you can't see it. You get next to the model, you'll see things. So you look at Moe or look at the model and look at you and go, oh, I immediately see what's going on. So a mirror doesn't really let you do that, but you can still check out, if you know what you're looking for, you can check in a mirror. Video by far is the best. Video is the way to go about it because you got the model comparison. The merits of that obviously are pretty simple. Every position, the backswing movement, the downswing movement, are your positions you can match with video. So I recommend video. Can you describe how the weight is distributed left foot right at setup, top of backswing and impact? I'm not a weight guy. Because if I said to you, well, 50%, 30%, 20%, it's all so subjective to what you feel, what I feel, whatever. So I use bracing and stability more than I do weight. Now, if you want to go measure this on those, measure plates, a friend of mine, Terry Hashimoto, who does a lot of work in this, that's great. Directionally, I think is very important how the pressure is transferring to the feet. I think that stuff's pretty cool. But I would stay away from, if I said 60-40, 50-50, 30-20. All I really want you to do is when you get to the top of the backswing, make sure that you're bracing, that back inside of that foot, inside this leg is supporting and bracing that movement. And then you're going to transfer it to this foot where this braces and supports. I really want you to pay more attention to the legs and how they're supporting you with your ankles than where the weight is. I really want you to do that more because that's more functional to your movement than it is just because, look, I can put, if I said 30%, 20%, I can put 20% and be in the wrong position. I can be 30% in the wrong position. But you can't be in the wrong position if you're talking stability and you're looking at the A-frame of the legs, you're using video, and you're like, okay, stabilize against this leg. Well, okay, I can feel that bracing. Okay, stabilize against this knee. I can feel that. And that's the correct ankle foot position too. I'm much more into that than I am this whole idea of weight shift. When using the ABT, is it okay to tinker with ball position, Scott? Yeah, that's a good question. What you're really tinkering with is foot position and ball position because they're related. You can't just do one or the other. If you're going to move ball position around, there's a radius to the swing. That's why this alignment ball position trainer is such a great tool for practicing because it's built correctly for width versus position. So if you're tinkering with ball position, you need to tinker with width too. So I don't do it. I don't do it very often. But I will say this. If I'm going to tinker any direction, it's forward. And that's because it's on this side of the arc. I hate when things are on behind the arc because now you're trying to, the path is from the inside and you got to figure out the face angle. On this side, remember how Moe said he'd keep the square for a long period of time? I can tinker on this side of the arc on this side of ball position, but never behind iron ball position, if that makes sense. Any tips on swing thoughts to maintain a smooth tempo from backswing to impact, Randy? Yeah, hit your positions, swing hard. If you learn the positions, you learn how to brace your body, and you learn how to stabilize the body, swing as hard as you want. I'm serious about that. I don't believe in tempo. It's a chicken or the egg question, because you're like, oh, I have to have a certain ratio of backswing and downswing. No, you don't. Here's what you got to do. You got to set up. You got to create a position at address. You got to brace yourself in the backswing, so you can only go so far. You got to brace yourself in the downswing, and you got to keep that foot down on knee flex, so you can only go so far, and you can swing as hard as you want. Because your body, we discussed this tonight, and this is a really good question. Your body will only limit you to go so far inside your ranges because of tilt and positions, which we talked about, and you can only move so fast in those positions anyway. So there's your range of motion, because we're going to get to impact more consistently. So swing tempo and timing is a product. This is a very important point. It's a product of positions and the positions and limitations you're creating, and then the motion that you create within those limitations produces the tempo. I hope that makes some sense, because that's a really, really important point to why positions are so critical and why you must take video. You must take video and start looking at your positions, because that will determine your tempo, timing, positions, impact. Everything is based on positions. It's exactly what Mo said to me. Mo, how do you fix your golf swing? Hit your positions. Hit your positions. That's all he said. That's the only word of advice he had for how to fix a golf swing. Hit your positions. You got to know what they are. You got to be able to know if you're hitting them or not. By the way, just so you know, I don't know how many we've had register so far, but the first 50 people get the deal of the century here. Over $2,000 in value. You're going to get the single plane trainer, which is our position training aid. You're going to get the Feeling Greatness Training Club, and you're going to get the alignment ball position trainer. These are 3 primary training aids for getting you on track with a single plane swing. Plus, you're going to get half of that back, $240 in school credit to apply to any school you want to come to, and you're going to get access to Graves Golf On Demand for the first 50 people. And by the way, if you're watching this as a replay, if you click the link and there's some availability, great. If there's not, I can't give you all these training aids. It's only for the first 50. So if you're watching tonight, take advantage of it. If you're watching this as a replay, maybe tomorrow or the next few days, I can't guarantee that those deals are going to be there. And we only have 50 available. So take advantage of that. We had over almost 2,000 people registered for tonight's show, so I'm sure it'll go pretty quickly. Rick Blakely from Canton, Michigan. You just won a 3-day school. I look forward. Hopefully, if I'm there, it'll be great. If not, we'll have a great time with our instructors learning the single plane swing. Congratulations, Rick, on winning a 3-day school. Anyway, thanks for joining me tonight. We're happy to have you guys involved in Graves Golf Academy. We look forward to helping you with the single plane swing. Come see us at the school. If you need some clubs, let us know. And definitely, let's get you some coaching and get you on track with your single plane swing. Thanks for joining me.